Eddie.
This is Nicole. Welcome to Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.
So, we are missing my counterpart, Eddie. So, in his absence, I want to introduce you to Gary Taylor, the man.
The man.
Yes. So, Gary, tell them about yourself.
My name is Gary Taylor, co-owner of Affluent Mortgage here in Delaware. So we help real estate agents, builders provide financing for all of their clients.
Yes. So I previously was a guest on Gary's podcast, the Mortgage Motivation Podcast. Sorry about that. And we had a great time. I was on there twice. Mm-hmm. So he's coming over to the Beyond the Grind side so we can talk about some topics. So I had a couple people write in on some topics that they wanted us to discuss.
And I don't know what the topic is.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. You know, you'll be good. So a lot of, we had really great topics, but one of the things I wanted to converse about was the double standards between men and women. And I'm just going to name a couple of the double standards that were written in, that they would like for us to address and I guess give our opinions on. One was the emotional expression. Women are expected to be emotional and allowed to show multiple emotions, but men are only encouraged to show anger or sexual responses.
Gotcha.
Financial expectations. Men are expected to be providers while women can choose to work or stay at home. Mm-hmm. Education versus hustle. Women are encouraged to get degrees while men are pushed towards entrepreneurships and trades. Dating and finances. Gotcha. Men are expected to pay for everything while women have more flexibility. This is a big one, in my opinion. Beauty standards. Women are expected to be dolled up, dressed up for the man, look flawless, makeup, wigs, all these things, while men aren't expected to enhance their looks at all. Infidelity reactions. Men cheating is excused as natural, while women are scandalous, right?
Right.
And then one of the other good ones are the social behavior. Outspoken women are angry, while outspoken men are leaders. And lastly, sexual freedom. Men with a high body count are praised and women are devalued. Oh, and this was the last one. This one was another good one they said. Dating age gaps. Men are seen as displaying predatory behaviors as women are seen as cougars getting their groove back. So you realize in society, we have so many double standards. Do you feel like you are a contributor to the double standards, or do you feel like you're more liberated and open-minded, where it's like, no?
I was gonna say, first of all, those are really good. That's a lot of double standards.
I know.
When you said that, I'm like, oh, there's just a few.
Yeah.
So where are these questions coming from?
So I do have some of the viewers that watch it. They'll send me the inbox. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say, for the most part, a lot of those double standards can be true. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I think over time, they're changing. They're not as, I'm not going to say as a double standard. I don't think they're as relevant as I guess they used to be at one time.
Okay, which ones?
Let me use, I guess, a few for an example.
Yeah.
Far as like the roles in the household. I guess when I was growing up, or my parents were growing up, the man was expected to be the breadwinner, the mom stay at home, taking care of the family. But I think certain things has happened in that generation that are different now. Okay. That kind of caused that. So I believe it was for a reason. I don't see that as much now. I truly believe like a lot of women are extremely independent in a very good way, because you got to think about back then too, the laws is different too.
Exactly. We couldn't have a voice.
Correct. So that plays a huge role. But I see now, like most of my friends, family and stuff like that, I don't know any women that are stay at home, mom or just don't go to work at all. Yeah. Because I see most women, they want to work, so they have their, their independence away from having a man taking care of them.
Got you.
So that one there, for sure, with the when men are dating and the high body count, I could definitely see that, and I think it's kind of unfair, but I believe that's changing too. With social media, what's in front of us now versus back then, you didn't have everything wasn't in your face, and so now, me personally, that's just me though. I don't really care about that too much, because honestly, if I'm dating you, I'm not asking you how many men you've dated, because honestly, you could just make I'm about to say something.
You say you can lie, but
you can make something up.
Okay, that's a valid point. Yeah. So, talking to both of those points that you stated, I am a contributor to double standards.
Okay.
Because at one point in time, I was stay at home, but I would not be fine with like my counterpart, my husband, being stay at home. So I'm a complete double standard person where it's like, for me, to each his own, because I know that there's some stay at home dads, and you know, do you. In addition to when you spoke about like the way that people are even feeling like the body counts, right? So is it a thing that it's actually more accepted, or is it a thing that women are just becoming more numb? Because I don't see where the acceptance is still there. Like it's to me very people, the social media and algorithms and it's very like they're hard on people. But I feel like women are just becoming more callous to it, but not necessarily because the mindset has changed. Because a lot of times it's even coming from a woman to a woman rather than a man coming at the woman.
Probably more of that than the other way around.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's like in a world, speaking from a woman, right? You're always preached to at one point that you are supposed to look a certain way to present yourself for the man.
Right.
Horrible. I personally don't feel that way, but I feel as though that is our standard. So when you talk about body counts, I don't know if it has something to do with one, depending on where you're coming from religious wise, in addition to maybe because of the way our anatomies are, it's the mindset of allowing anything in you, right? So I still feel as though it's still scrutinized when it comes to that double standard. So I haven't seen a lot of progression with that. I just see more women callous to it. Like, I don't care about your opinion.
No, I would still just say, I think we're just used to it now. I mean, just having everything in front of us all the time.
Yeah.
And I still go back in that, I guess, that generation when you're going back to, I guess, the kings and the queens, when the male figure, the prince or whatever, is looking for that wife or that spouse. If you had sexual intercourse before marriage, then you was frowned upon.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of carried over to where we're at now. But, most women, they out dating just like, men. I think, and it's always been that case. It's just, you had to do it more in private. And I would just say, even with my generation and younger, I don't think guys, or I think it's more women.
They care about body count?
That's more locked into the body count more than, well, I speak for myself. I don't care about that.
I feel like for me, guys, I was holy. But for me, I personally, that I didn't care about that. But I have come across from people, I think it's, like almost like that game of feeling like you want to be the first one. So I'm not a man.
Right.
So it's almost like not so much I cared about your count, but it's nice to know that I'm the one who taught you the things you know. So
I think it makes a difference if you bounced around. I think it goes both ways. If you bounced around like within a circle, or you dated guys that I know, that's different.
That is
it's one of those things, out of sight, out of mind situations.
Got you.
But if you did that, I think that'll look a little different versus I just moved to Delaware and I just met, someone that's single, and I don't know anything about her. She don't know anything about me. I think that's different because, like I said, I still lean on. I can ask you what that is. That doesn't mean you're gonna tell me the truth. But if I know for a fact that you dated around within my circle, that's different.
Yeah,
in that case, I wouldn't be interested.
I get that. Like, I remember a couple episodes ago. I don't know if we aired this part, so it could have been like behind the scenes, but we were all conversing, and it was a couple other guys in the when we were talking. And the conversation was brought up, of course, numbers don't matter, right? And so it was Eddie, my husband, and someone else, and they're saying numbers don't matter. So I was like, okay, so if a woman says in their lifetime, let's say she's like 25 or whatever, and she was like, let's say a man says in his lifetime, I had 5 partners, right? He's like 25. And then she was like, okay, that's fine. You think of math, right? And what if the woman says, that's fine, I had 5 partners. And he's like, okay, the difference is mine was in one day. They said that changed. I'm like, it's the same number. Man. But it's the double standard because what if your time span was like within like 3 years, right? And you had like a whole fun time. But what if she just needed that one day to just get it all out? if we're saying numbers don't matter, does time frame also? So those to me are the double standards, because you think of people who are in certain industries where it's like to be expected. When you talk about athletes, it's automatically expected. They're like looking at a woman crazy to think like, why would you think that he wouldn't be out there? Because it's okay, right? But let the same woman in that industry do the same thing, and it's like, she's disloyal. How could she? And it's, you realize there's so many double standards, but we do subscribe to some.
I guess, and I think also depending on the age of that person too. You know what I mean? Because I think as you get older, there's a lot of stuff you just don't care about anymore.
That
is true. Versus when you're in your 20s, you almost in that you're still dreaming. You know, you're not in reality mode just yet. And as you realize, like, does it really matter? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but going back to the other statement that you made with the husband. So you say you would not be cool with your husband working from home.
No.
And you.
No. 100%. I was no.
So what if he? Okay, well that's different though, because if he had like a job where he could work from home, he's still working. He's still working.
So then
but why is that though?
Why is that?
Not that I think that's cool. I'm just being devil's advocate here.
No, that's cool. Listen, I stand 10 toes down. For me,
I can tell.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a very strong woman, very opinionated, right? And I look at that for me as like a very docile position.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like if I'm out there like being like this, not gonna say this wolf, but I'm out there being a strong woman in the world. Like I kind of don't want to like leave and then like my baby's on your hip and you're like, bye baby. like for me, that just would not do it for me. Because
that sounds weird to me too.
Yeah. Just
not that there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, listen, whatever I'm talking about for me, she need her. This person right here. Yeah. So for me, I do subscribe to
even hearing you describe this is killing me, but go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, there's certain double standards that Nicole subscribes to because I'm in a soft girl era. So I also do believe in gender roles, even though I'm I'm an independent woman. And I am very big on making sure my identity isn't established from somebody else. Like what makes Nicole isn't the fact that I'm this person's wife. You know, what does like that, that's not who, like, that's not what validates me. However, I am very big on playing my role. Like, I want to be soft. The difference is I also want to know how to do everything, but not have to do it. Like, I can go out there and build something if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to be like, oh no, don't want to break the nail. But I do subscribe to certain standards. Like for dating, I do feel as though like the woman should be courted. I feel as though like I'm also not a materialistic person. So for me, what I find most value in are the things that you can't go purchase in a store. But I do feel as though like if we're going out to eat, like I don't hesitate and think that I'm pulling out my card.
Right.
Because I just feel as though like, I don't know, that to me, like that's the man. But I know that we're in a different day and time what
was that? Because I'm trying to make sure I remember which double standard.
That one was the double standard of
like it's okay for a man to
the financial men are expected to pay for everything while women have more flexibility.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah. Like I do feel it's like when you're dating someone and I'm not saying it because you should just be honored to be in my presence. So I'm not also saying like just the woman's the catch, because I also feel like the man can be the catch too. So that's not what I'm saying, but I do subscribe to that time frame where you're looking for the man to be the protector. You're looking for him to be that covering for you. And with that comes with like the financial covering. Like I don't want the heavy to be on me. I can be a leader, but I don't want to lead.
Gotcha.
Like that's just like to me.
Got it.
Yeah.
What else we got on there? So you, the other one you brought up was the if a man yells, right? It screams.
So
Yells,
there was two.
Yeah.
There was when it talks about the emotional expression. Women are expected to be emotional and allowed to show multiple emotions, where men are encouraged to show anger and sexual responses. Where now that I do think is wrong. That's a double standard I don't subscribe to. I think a well-rounded man should be able to express sadness and not feel like you're going to be pegged as soft. For me, I think it's a well-rounded person. Like for my son, the way I'm like, he expresses himself so well. He communicates so well, and he's 3. Sometimes I'm like, like, oh my gosh, like.
What I guess that would be another. It depends on your situation, your scenario, because I think if we're still talking about dating, right, and you're dating someone for a long time, then I believe those emotions could be expressed without that person losing control, like you said, just
100%.
Controlling your feelings.
100%.
But I think if you see the double standard to me would be if you saw a man that's crying or that's showing their hurt, their soft balls, you know what I'm saying, versus a woman. I think it's different. Like I think if a woman cries, show emotions to that degree, I think that's way more acceptable versus even if you knew we work together.
Yeah.
But if you called me and I'm always distraught and I'm crying, see what I'm saying?
No.
See what I'm saying? But if you did that to me, you'll still drive me crazy. But I think it's more acceptable for you to do that. If you called me, now I probably wouldn't enjoy working with you because I think you're just all over the place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the acceptance is going to be different.
So,
if you saw a woman crying, you wouldn't probably bat an eye. But if you saw a man crying, you like, why is he crying? What's going on? So that's
I don't know. So so I'll say this.
And I'm not a crier, not because I wouldn't. It just
I used to be a crier. I used to be. I know it's hard to tell, but I used to be a very emotional person. Even growing up as a child, I remember like my brother and sister. They're like, "You cry all the time,"
right?
Because I emoted. But I'm not like heavy on like I'm not a big crier now. Like I can probably count on my hands the amount of times my children have seen me cry. And I realized, one, that's not healthy because I want them to, you think you always have to be so strong, right? And it's like, no, I want to show them how you navigate through the emotion. Because my sister has said something really like, ooh, that's good. When it comes to emotions, men and women, right? If you take the E off of emotion, you have motion, which is movement. You are to move through how you feel. So I try to move through how I feel. And I don't want to stay stuck there. When it comes to seeing a man cry, that wouldn't make me go like, ugh. Like, it would be like, oh, wow, because it's not typical for men to cry.
And
like,
I guess it depends on what we're talking about, too.
Yeah, like, oh, my gosh, there must be something
like
that is
death,
really...
something tragic happened.
Yeah, but I don't want to see you crying because, like, you get in a disagreement with someone and it's like...
That's what I mean.
Oh, my God, they hurt my feelings.
That's the double standard, though.
But the same way, I don't think that a woman should... Like for me, like,
but it's more acceptable is the double standard that we're referring to.
Okay, yeah, I guess it depends on a situation where, in a sense, when you say, I don't know if it's acceptable, but it's more so understood that that's going to happen. But it's still annoying. Like I'm saying, you would get the same annoyance if I was calling you like, like, okay,
Crying
back to
crazy.
work. All right, Gary,
Period.
what are we working on?
Yeah.
You would be like, yo,
crying
bruh.
drives me crazy. Period. I don't care who it is. So I gotta be honest with you.
Oh wow.
I'm serious. Like crying is because just like even when I hear kids like, yo, you crying, babies cry. And people know I say this all the time. Babies cry because they can't communicate.
Okay.
But as an adult or a person that can communicate, just tell me how you feel, and you don't have to cry about it.
Yeah, like I'm very big on that. Like, and you have to nurture your children into that.
Unless tragic is a tragedy, something I get that. You can't really control that. But
I get that. Like it's like when you're, for me, I always reference children because a lot of times, like when you are raising kids, like that's a big mirror for you to be like, oh shoot, like there's certain things that you may want to fix or edit, right? So for me, raising my children, I never wanted to be a person who says, stop doing this. Because a lot of times we oftentimes will tell our children to stop doing something and never tell them what to do. Right. Like, so we'll say, stop doing this, but you don't say, but do this.
Or because I told you to.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. No. So I'm very big on like, okay, if you have a lot of emotions to choose from, why does crying have to be the one we go for? Like you have a lot of things in your art, like go for something different. Like imagine if mommy only responds in anger. You would be like, why are you always angry? That's the same way where you have other things that you can do than cry. What is something else we can do? And that's how I try to help them to navigate through the emotion. But I do agree that women are allowed and expected to show emotion up to a certain point, because then it goes into the fact of if I was a woman who showed too much anger, then or if I was too outspoken, then it's like I get pegged for that woman who has no control over how she feels. And it's like, she's one of those untamed women. And it's like, why?
I know what you really want to say.
Yeah, because I'm speaking up and I'm expressing like a difference of opinions. That's crazy to me. No, I'm just vocal. Where a man, it's like, oh, look at him lead. Right. You find that a lot in church. I'm a church kid. You grew up in church, and I was told, I remember hearing where it's like women weren't supposed to be in position, in certain positions, and it's okay for the man to be like boisterous and but the woman like know your place. And it's like, okay. And I think that we get the scriptures messed up where we say the woman's supposed to submit to men, and it's like, no, I'm supposed to submit to my man as he submits to God. Not just submitting to a man. So I do think it's easier for men to be able to show their anger, and it's like, yeah, he's a strong man.
Yeah, but so let's flip it. So if your husband showed a lot of emotion, meaning that if you guys got into an argument or something bothering him at work, and he's screaming and yelling, just all over the place with his feelings, how would you view that coming from your man? And say he does this all the time. Out of control.
Like, I think that you're an emotionally unstable person. Right. The same way equally for me. So in this thing, I don't, like I said, I don't subscribe to this one, because I feel as though a healthy person should be able to control their emotions. Right. I don't care if you are a man or a woman. Like, you should be able to have some type of control that allows you to not like lose it every time something doesn't go your way. Like, that's crazy to me. Right. It's like throwing an emotional tantrum, and it's like, we're grown here. Like, there's a place and time to be frustrated, and there's a place and time to respond that way. Like, for instance, I don't think, like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, don't raise your voice at me. Like, for sure. Like, I agree. I'm not like, don't yell at me ever. Yeah, don't raise your voice. Like, who does that? Like, you better lower your tone, because Nicole's checking out of here. Well, you losing control. And I even put the same thing when people fight. When you get into a fight, it's like, that's not gonna solve the issue. You still got the same problem. Actually, it's even bigger now. Yeah, I've never been in a fight a day in my life. And so to me, I look at all of that. And when I was a kid, it was kind of cool to see a fight. Oh, it's a fight! It's a fight! It's a fight! But as you get older, you like, that's drama. Are we still fighting? Right? Like, you want to run from that. Like, that's why a lot of reality TV shows I'm not interested in. Yeah, I don't. Everything you just described is on. I don't subscribe to that, because I'm like, when you think of us being older, and then you realize it's an ego thing. So someone to me who doesn't like, whose first reaction is anger, like, to me, I look at that like, oh, your ego's not in check. Because now you're allowing your ego to lead because you almost feel like, how does someone have the audacity to do this? And to me, I'm like, those are characteristics that I'm like, I strive to be healthy.
Right.
I make it a point of I've worked really hard on my character. So I try to align myself with people who have enough restraint and care enough about their character to not always respond to everything that like frustrates them. Like you said, dealing with tragedy, that's different.
That's different, right?
But even at that, like, don't stay stuck there. And I know it sounds cruel, but I'm only speaking from experience. Like, you can't stay stuck there. And I always think of like death when you lose someone, right? And it's like someone really close to you, and of course you love them, but some people like it's like almost life stops when they lost that one person.
Right.
What about everyone else who loves you, who's around? You're saying like living is not worth them. Like being around, like, I don't know. That's just.
We could do a podcast on that all by itself, an episode, because I think a lot has to do with your beliefs too. Yeah. And so if you believe certain things, like in Christianity, you believe, okay, once the spirit leaves the body, you're just dealing with a vessel. Yeah. And so you still look at, okay, that person is still. Exactly. Yeah, it still exists.
Their soul is still somewhere.
That doesn't mean that is easy. Yeah. But that's not true death. Exactly. It's a transition. Exactly. And so I think if you don't have any type of spiritual connection, it may be harder on you versus with others. Once again, it's not like it's easy, but it's easier for you to transition.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I don't know if I said this one, the double standard of, I don't know if it's as big now because there's so many medicines out there, but of body image. They said,
gotcha.
Thick women are praised, but that's you can only be thick up to a certain point. Let's be honest. And overweight men are often like criticized, where it's like, "Ooh, he's sloppy," or like, but that's also up to a certain status point, because if you have money attached to your size, right? Oh, you can be overlooked and you can be like, "Ooh."
So read it the way you had it written down earlier. I want to make sure I don't.
Thick women are praised,
okay,
but overweight men are often criticized.
But how about overweight women? So it would be apples to apples. Because you said thick, because you have thick men too. That's right before.
Yeah, but a thick man is not perceived as sexy. Let's be honest.
And you're
okay. You're right. Okay, so yeah.
I'm saying like
so no, and I'm not talking about from my opinion. I'm saying typically when you think of thick, let's break that down. You think of like shapely, like maybe some thighs, a little fat to hold on to, just whatever. I don't know how, and I'm speaking from a heterosexual mindset. I don't know how appealing like a woman's like, ooh, look at my man's thighs, look at those hips.
That's a tough one though, because I think a lot has to do with culture too. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I've had this conversation for all my whole life, and so you have someone that's, and not everyone.
You look to the camera. Hold on, guys.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
But if you have like the Caucasian culture versus the African American or Black culture, whatever you want to call it this year, we look at people women that are thick. That's a good thing, but I think it still breaks down into that person, though. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are, but I think our culture is a little bit more acceptance, or the same thing with the Latino community.
Yeah.
So the thicker woman is not looked upon as a bad thing, or a man versus someone that's skinny, because they may look at it, okay, well he's not eating, or she's not eating enough.
Yeah,
she needs to eat.
Okay.
But a different culture look at it, okay, well someone that's the half hips or thighs and stuff like that, they need to slim down because not perceived as being attractive. The same thing, like when we're growing up, you saw models. All the models are like
tiny,
extremely
slender.
Skinny. Not even slender, like skinny.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But now when you look at
models,
they're thicker women that have a couple of pounds on them, because to me that's more of a realistic person to look at.
That is realistic.
But I can say that maybe a woman may get a lot more heat on that than a man would.
With what?
As far as like your size.
Yeah, but that also goes to the double standard of, for the woman, it being pushed that we have to be dialed up, we have to look flawless. Like oftentimes it's like you want to stop the aging process as a woman, and it's not celebrated to age gracefully.
I don't agree with it, but I for sure understand.
You see it where the man is like, as y'all age is like, oh, he's a zaddy, or it's like you don't have to like color y'all's hair, or you know what I'm saying,
obviously not.
Right? Or even if you lose your hair, y'all can embrace like a woman. It's like, okay, let me like I'm gonna get Botox. I have a wrinkle. I have a this. I have that, and it's like, oh my gosh, and it's like, what do we need to do to not subscribe to the double standards, or knowing that they're out there, what is the mindset that people need to have to like push past it?
I think that still breaks down to the individual. Like me, I think you have some prejudice against certain sizes and, bald heads or gray hair, but everyone does. But I think going back to what I was saying earlier, when you, not even your age, but at a certain point when you don't care about this stuff as much, there's other things that catch your attention that's way more important than someone's look. Because I always look at it as, if I might not like it, but there's somebody else that's attracted to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my brain doesn't focus on that too much. Now, if you're in a situation where you're obese and it's because it's not healthy for sure.
You would say it's a healthy,
definitely not healthy. Yeah. And if it's causing health problems, then I want to attack that from a different standpoint, not because I don't like the way you look. More so, we want you to be around a lot longer and to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? But I kind of look at health a little different too. So
I mean, and I get that. Like, even when you think of the beauty standards, right? You have women like the BBLs and all that stuff, and it's like they're risking their lives here for this fad, because at one point in time the fad was the implants, and it's like, how many times are we gonna now, for there's some people like I said, to each his own, rock out, but it's like, how many times are we going to really subject ourselves, especially as women, to try to conform to this beauty standard when there really is no beauty standard? Because to me, true beauty is from the inside out. Like, the physical aesthetics, they're going to change. Like, I don't look like I did when I was 19, close to it, but I don't look like I did when I was 19. Like, if I don't work on my inside, it don't matter. Like, if all of this looks fine, it has nothing to do with me. That's my maker.
Outside's a reflection of your inside.
Yeah. Exactly. And honestly, the way that my body may look, my face may look, that still has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with who created me and the genetics that went into that. So why are we putting ourselves in such a harmful position for things that are still going to change? Like, because when you die, like, all of this is going to be dust anyway. Right. So, and it's a shame that we will subject ourselves to like harm.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I think I always lean back to the internet, social media, because when I was growing up, it seemed like it's been forever ago with what I'm about to say, but the only people that you saw was people that grew up in your town or your city. Yeah. You didn't have anybody else kind of compared to outside of what was on TV. But now you go to your phone and you seeing thousands upon millions of people
across the world.
And you're like, man, do I need to work out? Do I need to eat better? Am I aging? So there's a lot of ways that you're comparing yourself to other people. Yeah. And to me, you should always focus on yourself. But I'd be lying if I said that I don't look at myself sometimes like, man, I wish I could do this, or I wish I had hair and stuff like that. But I automatically go back to, hey, there's nothing I could do about it. I might as well embrace it. Yeah. Because there are people that are into bald heads, that are into, gray hair. Exactly. My height, the type of clothes that I wear. So I don't think you'll ever please everyone. And I think once I accepted that, then I just don't care.
Yeah. I think early on, I was bullied when I was in younger grades. So early on, I actually learned at a very early age to stop caring.
Bullied about what?
This is about a bunch of stuff. Like,
can you share an example?
Yeah. So I have edges, right? So my hairline actually came down, like always came down far, but I still got my edges. As people are losing theirs. But that used to be a big thing in school. It's like petty school things, but because I didn't know how to handle it, like it really impacted me. Where it was like I didn't handle it well. Like I started balding because of the stress. It was really bad.
Wow, yeah.
So it was like when I got to a certain point in my life, it was like, okay, who cares? And even when it comes to half of these double standards, I don't care what a group of people feel. Like you said, it's all based off of my preference or what works for me. So I don't subscribe to beauty standards. Like most people, like you get a blemish on your face, you're gonna put like a bunch of makeup on. I don't really care. And if you don't like it, then look the other way.
And school is tough anyway.
Like school is tough,
yo. Like,
it is so tough and cruel. But
I had a lot to do with that.
Oh, you were one of those. You were one of
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we didn't care about grades and stuff like that. All we cared about is clothes. And I'm from the South, so we just call it ranking. So all we did all day long was joke. I don't care how attractive you are. No one's off limits.
That's crazy to me.
And it was fun.
I know, but
as a kid, I feel bad now.
And as a kid, I'm like, they were so like honestly, now I go back in my head and say, for you to just come off and be that cruel.
Right.
I wonder what they were struggling with. Like, it was so bad. Like, my hair is naturally curly. Like,
I think it's a culture thing, though.
It is. Like, I would go on the bus. I remember there was a situation where my mommy had straightened my hair, and I got on the bus, and mind you, I started high school when I was 13, and these were like seniors. So I remember I'm sitting on the bus, and all of a sudden, like, I heard some squirting, like the sound of that sounds funny. The sound of like a water bottle, like shh, shh, shh. So I get off the bus, and the natural instinct is to make sure your hair is fine. I'm like, why is this one whole side curls, like all curls? Thank God it was a nice refined curl because of the hair texture that I had, but it was like curled, straightened. And then when I looked at a mirror, I saw that they sprayed my hair. Or there was one time I got on a bus and it was a boy, and as soon as I got on a bus, like
sprayed your hair with
water. They sprayed my hair with water, so it curled up, and I didn't have a perm. And then there was one time when I got on a bus, it was like a marker was thrown at the back of my head. Mind you, like I'm just starting high school. I'm just starting ninth grade. Like I'm a nobody. Like why am I like I'm corny. Like and I love education. I went to school for my education. But when you're in those situations, they say what pressure like is what creates a diamond. I'm so grateful. Like I don't look back and like I don't feel and it's like no. It was like it just made me go like, you know what? It taught me to be callous where I really don't care. And I'm not one of those people where it's like, like the best revenge is success. Right. No, the best revenge is I don't care. You're just a non-factor. You're not relevant to me. I don't base my success or failures on any of the negative people. I'm the queen of, I would delete you now. So I subscribe to not society standards, but to mine. And a lot of them sometimes can be deemed as double standards.
You get that with maturity because a lot of even at an older age, you know, people always are so locked into what other people think about them.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, because you're only going to hear a small percentage of what people think. We learned this in military college. How was it described? It was how you view yourself, how you think other people view you, and how other people truly view you. And I'm like,
I get that. Yeah.
That's decent. That's bars right there, you know. But
you're a rapper.
But it was true because a lot of the point is there's a lot of things that we just have in our mind.
That is true.
And you never know how people truly feel about you. And there's a lot of times when you think everyone is thinking about what you're doing, and they're not even thinking about you at all.
So I have a question. Would you accept the criticism of someone who you don't respect? And would you still accept what they're saying about you? Like, do you accept all type of criticism, or it has to be from someone who you respect and you value?
Honestly, I don't hear a lot of criticism. I mean, at this stage, not like that. I just don't. So the only people I wouldn't even say, well, I guess what we call it. What's the good way of criticizing someone? I can't think of the name right now. Constructive criticism.
Constructive, yeah.
So I hear that by people that's close to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, my close circle of friends, I would ask them like, yo, when I do the podcast, what do you think? By me making this move with work, what do you think? By me saying this in front of you guys, do you think that was offensive? And I think now we're to the point where they'll be honest. Because I think a lot of times people don't want to get involved, or they just kind of blow it off. And they'll talk amongst themselves. Oh, I hate versus telling you. Can you believe what? Yeah, exactly.
I cannot.
Can you believe what you had said? So I think that's what it is more than anything else.
Yeah, that's another double standard. Real quick, and then we'll let them go. Okay. The double standard of the gossip, right? For a woman's group, it's typical. Right. So they say, like, you love, like, oh, they always talk about tea. But if you get a man who
I can't stand it,
just be gossiping, it's like, ew. Why?
I don't like gossip, period. And anyone that knows me could 100%
vouch for that.
Vouch for me on that. That chatty patty stuff, man, is like, because most guys, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I think we kind of stay surface. Yeah. We're not talking about
emotions. Like, so in guy friends, y'all don't like guys.
Can you believe he wore that? Blah, blah, blah. Can you believe? Guys, and if you talk like that in front of me, we're not going to be friends.
Got you, yeah.
But I don't like even when women do it, and it drives me crazy, but you're right. It's more acceptable. I kind of expect that.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. But so, pause on that.
Was that bad? Was that?
No. But no, it brings up a point of what I was going to say was I feel as though that's more of a character thing. And that's what I look at, right? So when you said you expect that from a woman, to me.
More from a woman than
I look at someone's character who almost rejoice in gossiping about somebody else's thing as a, like, why is this exciting for you to see someone, like, making bad decisions? Because a lot of times we're not gossiping because we're passing on the good things that they're doing.
That's not gossip at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. To pass the scrutiny and the judgments. So to me, I look at that as a character of, like, there's something not good with your heart, because why are you happy
not even that they're doing that? When you're not around, they're talking about you too.
100%.
And I'm not saying they are, but the chances are extremely high. Yeah. They talking about you as well. So I don't look at it necessarily as a bad thing. It's like, okay.
I see you.
Okay, I got you. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. You know what I'm saying? So I know the same thing with guys. If I know you're a chatty patty, like I'm glad you showed me that character of you, because we're not gonna be cool. Yeah. I'm gonna stay extremely surface, almost to just, you're an acquaintance. You're not a friend of mine.
So back to the original question. Do you subscribe to double standards?
I think everyone does to a certain degree.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think everyone is prejudiced.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
depending on what you're referring to.
No, but that's what I agree. Yeah. I subscribe to some and I rebuke others. But thanks for sitting down talking to me.
Oh, this is cool, man. Yeah. I almost forgot that the camera's even there.
Oh, yes. Put your plugins. Where can people find you?
Oh, no doubt. So YouTube, the Mortgage Motivation Podcast, and like Nicole said, we just shot one about the renovation loans. We'll continue to bring her into the episodes because she does such a great job on there. You know, but we got a few things that we're working on. But Mortgage Motivation Podcast, you can catch me on IG, Gary Home Loans, and Facebook, Gary Home Loans, or you can go to man, I forgot.
TikTok.
The business. Don't go to Facebook business. I never use that. Okay. Same thing with TikTok, Gary Home Loans.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for watching another episode of Beyond the Grind. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.